You never know what's in a book until you pick it up and you read it one page at a time. So Build with Pros is a book that doesn't really exist anymore because we're not reading the bodybuilding books. They don't make them anymore. So here we are in the digital age where you can actually fast track your progress listening from someone that's in the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame, Lifetime Achievement Award winner, a professional at the highest degree for 13 consecutive years. How I did it. It's not impossible. It's not rocket science. But having Build with Pros in your pocket at your disposal will be the moral compass to your fitness journey in terms of what you should do, what you think you can do, and what's possible to do. For 50 bucks, you can get a wealth of knowledge here at Build with Pros. You're going to spend $50 just on a couple of workouts at the gym. You might spend $50 on some energy drinks or some supplements that you think are going to be real great for you for that moment. This is something for 50 bucks that's going to last for a lifetime. And don't forget, get your 20% off by entering your discount code at MTP20.
G'day guys, Steve here, Muscle Talks podcast, Build with Pros. Mr. Shawn Ray, episode 5. In this one, we talk about the blueprint to build, principles of muscle programming and smart growth. In this episode, Shawn will share with us the building blocks of a smart, sustainable muscle building program. Listeners will discover the value of structure, volume, form, and progression, all delivered with real-world wisdom from decades of the Olympia stage. This episode is a blueprint for anyone serious about training with intention and breaking through plateaus with purpose. G'day, Shawn Ray.
G'day, mate. Yeah, no, I think the operative word in that word salad you just spit out is structure.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about trying to build the body, it's no different than building a car, building a house. Well, you got to have a blueprint. You've got to have a plan. You don't just go into the gym, lift weights, and hope things happen and kind of hope that things will just fall into place. You've got to have structure. And the structure begins for a bodybuilder the moment he wakes up until he goes to bed. And everything in between has got to be managed in such a way that emotionally, physically, psychologically, you are up for the challenge when you get into the gym, because the gym for a bodybuilder is very much like that of a ring for a boxer. If you approach it in that manner, walking into the doors of a gym as if you're stepping into the ring with an opponent waiting to tear your head off, then you know that every workout counts. And for the bodybuilder that's trying to go to the top, there's a lot of visualization that takes place, because you have to visualize what it is you're up against, where it is you're trying to go, and then how you're going to get there. And that's going to take some structure and some focus. So all the things that happen outside the gym lead up to that moment when you step into that ring. And for me, the ring was the gym. Every workout was a sparring session, was a championship fight. There was always someone there waiting to outperform me, waiting to take me to places where maybe physically and psychologically I wasn't prepared to go. So you have to approach changing the way you look, which changes the way you feel, as if it is a heavyweight championship fight. A lot of psychology involved.
It's funny because Mr. Olympia, right? And the Olympics, the guy that, Michael Phelps, that wins gold numerous times, and we see him do that race, in how many seconds or whatever it is. But those seconds are years behind him.
Yes.
And it's kind of what you're trying to say. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because what you're putting in the bank is the sweat equity of every workout. Yeah. And what you do today, you might think it's kind of insignificant. But if you approach it as if tomorrow's not going to come, if you approach it as if you know that Dorian Yates is waiting, if you approach it knowing that Ronnie Coleman is probably lifting 2, maybe 3 times the amount of poundage that you are, if you're training knowing that Kevin's going to show up with those barn door delts, the massive, girth that he carries, and Flex Wheeler, the Sultan of Symmetry, is going to be standing there when you're done, then you'll realize that every workout counts. There is no room for error. There's no room to feel sorry for myself because they're wanting it just as bad as I do. And when I take my foot off the gas and when I take my focus off the prize, I'm giving them the advantage. I'm giving them the edge, feeling sorry for myself, looking outside and it's gray and I don't want to, I'm trying to time it, I'm trying to let my food digest. I got to wake up and just get it over with because all the rest of the worry of the day will distract me from what I'm trying to do. That's why I trained early in the morning. I got the bulk of the hard work done in the morning while most people were sleeping, while most people were not watching, where only the hungry show up for those type of workouts. And so you knew when you went in the gym early in the morning that if that workout partner was waiting for you, that he was serious too. Now, if I mess around and I hang out till the afternoon crowd comes, or I mess around and I wait for the evening to come, all of those things of life come into my mind, comes into play, and the distractions. By the time I focus on the gym, I'm tired, I'm fatigued. So for me, it psychologically worked that I had structure in my life, that I knew that the first thing in my mind was going to be that morning workout, that battle through that first training partner, getting through that big obstacle of the day, because that's what I live for. That first workout, man, I got to get this out of the way. The rest will come. The rest I can manage. It's easier. Cardio, calves, abs, it's very easy on that second workout. But getting up for those leg days, when you're sore, when your back is hurting, when you know someone's stronger waiting for you at the gym, you psychologically have to get through brushing your teeth, getting that coffee in, turning that rock and roll on, whatever it is that has to get your mind right. And when you walk into that gym, it's like a boxer stepping into that ring. Every one of those workouts, every rep, every set, it's got to be leading to when I step in that ring with the biggest and the best of the world. I study their pictures and physiques in the magazines in the morning, watch their videos at night. I know what I'm walking into. And if you know where you're trying to go, then you'll take your training a little bit more serious, and then you'll take your eating more serious, then you take your resting more serious. And then that success, when you get a taste of that success, it's like a drug. It becomes very addictive.
Wow. So many hooks and so many ideas there. And like you said, structure, but also distractions. Two things very important. Programming isn't optimal. Shawn, you say that when you start something, you got to know where you want to go. Why is having a well-designed training plan so crucial, especially for beginners?
Well, it's easy to get off the mark, right? Like I was eat, sleep, train. And in between, I had to go to school when I started out. I had to find this focus because the distractions of the world are plentiful. Your friends want to go ride skateboards. Your buddies want to go ride the dirt bikes. Your girlfriend wants to go to a movie. Your friends want to go eat pizza. Your buddies want to go to the party. And a bodybuilder's got to find a way to block out the noise. Like I took my job serious. Like I wanted to be teenage Mr. America. And that's a big thing because you only have so many years to get there. And I started at 17, so I felt like I was late to the party. I know Bob Chick was 13 when he started. Lee Priest was 13 when he started training with his mom. I felt like I was arriving a little bit late to the party, and I had to get focused quick if I was going to try to be the best teenager on the planet. And when I got that first city title, and then I got the state title, and then I was going for the teenage national championship, I was in my mind, I was a seasoned pro. What I was doing is what the pros were doing because I was copying them. So I had to let my mind, my structure, my day, my thought process, my eating patterns mimic what I believed the pros to be doing. I trained with guys that were bigger. I trained with guys that were better. I trained with guys that were stronger. I watched what the adults did as a teenager because I wanted to be there. And to my credit, I didn't have a longing for something I didn't know I was missing. I didn't realize I was missing the high school parties and the jam sessions and the beach parties and the bonfires and the sleepovers and all. I wasn't missing it because I just felt like I was inching closer and closer to that national title. And lo and behold, I got that sucker. So when they asked me, what did I do differently to be a teenage national champion, I copied what I thought the pros were doing. I thought the pros were doing this because that's how they were surviving. This was their job. I wanted bodybuilding to be my job as a teenager. So for it to be my job, I couldn't let all the other worries of the day come in to take me away from what I was trying to be, which was a professional bodybuilder. You think like one, you talk like one, you act like one, you surround yourself around them. Then, all of those things are investments of time that lead you to a place where you only got one shot. For me at 17, I had two shots. I was 18, I got second. I was 19, and I won it. Um, so when you get that kind of focus early, it's easy to have it carry over to the next level. Because after winning the team national title, I wanted to become the junior world champion. And of course, that came up in short order. And by 20, I was the junior world champion. So things were falling into place because of the focus, the structure, the dedication, and also the challenge. I didn't take for granted that I knew what I was trying to do was not normal. I knew what I was trying to do. I felt like I was late at the coming out of the gate, and guys had an advantage of me. And I also knew that I wasn't the biggest. So to be the best, I had to be very complete. And I focused on my eat, sleep, my training, my supplements. Everything was like dialed in as if I was a pro bodybuilder.
It's amazing. You've used the analogy before, boxing. So you knew your opponent because you studied them, but then you had
Yeah.
sparring partners. And you knew
Yeah.
and sparring partners have to be the ones that find your weakness, because you've got to work on what the other athletes have to be able to master that part of them. So it's amazing the analogies you use and what I'm listening here to. So let's go with copy, test, adapt. The real way to build a program. You admit you were a copycat at first, trying everything the legends before you had done. How
Yeah.
important is trial and error when designing your own approach? And
Well,
how do you know what was working for you beyond just the weights or pump?
well, I'd be lying if I say that even in my final Mr. Olympia, I thought I had it down, because it is a journey of a million miles, and exploration, trial, and error. It follows you to the end. And even I imagine some of the guys, for example, Samir Banu, Chris Dickerson, Franco Colombo, Dexter Jackson, um, one-off champions that won the Olympia. They reached that milestone. It's very hard to replicate that. It's very hard to do the same thing and get the same desired result. So even though they hit their pinnacle, they never could get it again just quite right. Something, whether it was the level of competition, whether it was just a one off where they hit their peak. So it is all trial and error. It is all copycat. I didn't write the book on how to look the way that I looked. Every year for me was different. Every challenge was different. First I'm training to try to beat Lee Haney, who was just an indomitable force in my early 20s. And then I spent half of my career trying to chase down Dorian Yates, who was the biggest thing that we had seen up until that time. He retires, and I got a bigger opponent in the form of Ronnie Coleman that I'm trying to come at. So as the game changed, as the years change, they keep moving the goalposts. And so you have to kind of continue to go through this self-exploration through trial and error. I never had it down where I could go back and go, I'm going to do exactly what I did the previous year to look exactly the way I looked that year, because life throws curveballs and things, you have to kind of bob and weave. And the people that I train with, they kind of come and go. Um, and the circumstance of my growth, sometimes everything's in groove and I don't feel any pain and I'm growing like a weed. I'm strong as an ox. And other times I can't dial it in just so, because I'm traveling, I'm making appearances, I'm paying my bills. I've got everyday modern concerns of a human being. So the bodybuilding is a weird thing that you cannot just cookie cutter your way through it. And so for that reason, to keep it interesting, like I mentioned before, changing gyms, changing training partners, having dinner for breakfast and breakfast for dinner, traveling on the road, training with different pros. All of these things were growing tools of exploration to try to get to where I wanted to go, because you never do get it right. And when you do get it right, it's very hard to capture that lightning in a bottle. I came up in an era where there were 3 winners for 22 consecutive years. Seemed to be the criteria was all about size, because they were bigger than everybody else. But then they changed the game when I retired. And now look, over the past 5, 6, 7 Olympias, we've had 5 or 6 different champions. That didn't exist when I was competing. And so even if you think you got it down right, you do the same thing you're not necessarily going to get the same desired result. So I didn't get hung up on trying to replicate what I looked like the year before. Every year was different. Every contest prep was different. Every approach. But the one thing that remained the same is I never thought I knew it all. I never got to that point where I felt like I've graduated. I'm the master of this thing. You just never mastered the art of peaking.
Oh, I'm enthralled just listening to that. I'm also visualizing. I hope everyone that's listening is having the same experience I am. Progressive overload equals progress over time. You talk about progressive overload being the foundation. What does that really look like in the gym? And how should people think about reps versus weights? I think I've got that question probably in front of mind. Why do you find the 10 to 20 rep range to be your sweet spot for muscle building?
Yeah, well, progressive overload, you have to take your body to places that your mind doesn't imagine it can go. And again, you're adding weight, more weight than you normally think you can use, and you're trying to do the repetitions. You don't stop because you can only get three. You put it down, you pick up the next weight, you put it down, get the next weight. That's my introduction to bodybuilding. John Brown used to burn me out with these reps of 100. As I grew, mature, put the size on, I did find my sweet spot. And my typical rep range between 8 to 12, sometimes 12 to 15. Um, it seemed to be the functional rep number for me to actually feel like I did the with doing the weight, because like a power lifter, one rep and you look at how much you lift and that's how you measure your progress, but you're not looking in the mirror. You're not looking at your physique. For me to sculpt, shape, and build, I needed between 8 and like 15 repetitions. I vacillate between, and every once in a while I do those high repetitions, 20 to 50, and then once in a while I knock myself out doing 100. So I knew as a sculptor, as a body shaper, as a physique artist, everything but just a bodybuilder, I would have to use variety. And variety includes progressive overload, which means doing more weight than I normally could handle, drop sets, giant sets. And all of those avenues help shape, sculpt, build, define the body. Because if I just lifted heavy weights, my physique would show you. I'd look like a boxy, stumpy brick house. And that's good if you're a power lifter, because you're just going for one rep and you're going for strength. Big, thick neck, really big triceps. I wouldn't look like a body beautiful, body sculptor. My ace in the hole was the fact that there were very few weaknesses. I was very balanced, and I was put together properly. That's because I was chipping away and sculpting away, doing these type of repetitious workouts and doing it progressively, because it's hard to do every single time. You kind of build your way up and then you back off, and you build your way up and you back off. So there's different cycles that you go through in the gym, and sometimes it takes the right training partner to bring it out of you. Sometimes it takes the right gym. And sometimes it's the right time of year. I prefer training in the summer for the Olympia. I'd sweat like a slave. I'd go to Las Vegas and train in the desert heat. I train in open air gyms so I could breathe in the fresh air, not the air conditioning air. And in the winter times, I was off season. I was covered up. I was moving at a slower pace. I was lifting heavier weights. So these are all the things that kind of lead to the progressive style of training. Slow burn. I start off in the winter, heavy, slow, more methodical. And as I work my way through the summer, I'm doing these drop sets, these faster paced workouts with higher repetitions. And that's kind of how I start to sculpt my physique.
Training pace, partners and recovery. You trained with partners and minimal rest. How did that pacing influence your conditioning and focus? Also,
100%.
yeah, also, what's your recovery approach? Yeah, good one here. And why do you believe muscle grows more outside the gym than in it?
Well, let's take one at a time. Obviously, the last question, muscle growth. It happens outside the gym. In the gym, you're in the gym tearing it down.
Yeah.
You're bodybuilding. You're in the gym tearing up your muscle fibers, breaking down the muscle. You are not building in the gym. You're tearing down. When you grow is when you're resting. It's like a baby drinking off the milk bottle. He sits there and drinks that milk. Next, he falls asleep, wakes up, he's crying because he's hungry again. He drinks more. And then over a couple of days, you realize the baby put on 2, 3, 4 pounds in that 1 week. As a bodybuilder, you eat and you sleep. You eat and you rest. And when you're doing that, The body's in the recovery mode, in the healing mode. You're getting your branched chain amino acids. Your body's repairing all the damage that you did to it in the gym. Those naps in the afternoon are power naps, so I can power through my workout. When I go in the gym, I'm going to wreak havoc on my body. I'm going to tear it all down. But all those nutrients and supplements are going to rebuild me. And that's going to take place when I'm in the resting mode. So, no, I don't always get 8 hours of sleep, but I'm going to get 8 hours of rest. So you don't have to sleep and get the REM sleep to grow. Sit down instead of stand up. Lay down instead of sit down. Walk instead of run. Sit instead of stand. So there's things that you can do to preserve your energy and save your calories for the gym, where you can go all out and just wreak havoc on your body and beat it up and tear it down. And then you got to rest it. There's a reason why you have like the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby, and they're spread apart. They're not right on top of each other. These horses, they go out and they run, and then they got to rest. It takes a while. Sometimes it takes a month or two between races, but you want to get them back out there on that track and run again. But you got to have that time to rest and recover, or else you're just going to be dragging ass. And I never really felt when I walked in the gym that it was going to be something that was going to be like, oh God, again. Oh, here we go. No, I trained at a fast pace. I didn't give you time to think about what's coming next. And that comes back to my introduction to bodybuilding. I got the crap beat out of me. We're moving at a fast pace. We're doing high repetitions. We're doing drop sets. We're doing giant sets. I didn't have time to think of how much was happening. It was like sensory overload. And if you think about it, you're going to slow everything down. Then you're going to start wandering. Your mind's going to wander. Your eyes are going to wander. You're going to get engaged in conversation. You're going to take your focus off that pump, that burn, the reps. You're going to start thinking about other things in between sets. So if I'm busy beating the shit out of you, you don't have time to think about those things. I'm counting your reps. I'm helping you get up and get you out of the way. Count mine so I know that you're focused on what I'm doing, and we move on to the next one. There is no time to start engaging in what you did last night. And what do you think about the next competition, or how hot that chick is over there, or how cold it is outside? Try to keep you on your toes by keeping you focused on what we're doing, and we'll be out of here in 45 minutes. We start sitting around talking, feeling sorry for ourselves, talking about the competition. We're going to get distracted and forget about what we're looking at, which is this weight in front of us that's going to make us better bodybuilders. We got to get in shape. We got to pick up the pace. Let's go.
So it's knowing it's a workshop, not a resort.
Yeah, we're not coming there to play. We're not coming in there to be friends. We're not coming in there to talk. And, it served me well, because my introduction to bodybuilding by a professional bodybuilder, I would imagine, is very different. If you were a high school football player and they asked you to come up, suit up, and come on this pro football field and practice with us, the practice on a pro football field where these guys are getting paid money to be there. They're not there for fun. They're trying to play for the championship of the world. They all want to go to the Super Bowl. They got bonus incentives in their contracts, starting time and receiving time and running time, playing time. Their jobs are at stake every practice. One injury and the next guy steps up and takes their place. If a bodybuilder goes in the gym and recognizes what they're really up against, you're trying to get you want to go to the Mr. Olympia where there's only 20 guys in the whole world? You know how many bodybuilding shows there are? You know how many amateur competitions are taking place? You realize this is in Africa, China, Germany, Russia, Japan, all of England, Australia. All of these numbers of people are trying to do what you're doing. They're trying to get their pro card. Then they're trying to get to the Olympia. And when they get to the Olympia, they're trying to get in the top 5 to be recognized. And they're trying to get the sponsorship. And they want to be recognized as one of the best in the world. They want to go to the Hall of Fame. They want to be Mr. Olympia. And the dream just gets... It becomes almost impossible to think that you can do something like this. But what happens to the one that's grinding and hustling every day and just doing the business and believing that they're manifesting that they're going to get there? They're planning and beating up their training partners and plotting out what this journey is going to look like. Look, you may not wind up on that Olympia, but if you're that meticulous about this bodybuilding thing, you can imagine what you're capable of in the business world. You can imagine what you're capable of if you decide to become a personal trainer or open a gym or become a contest promoter. It takes the same type of focus and grit and hunger to become successful in all of those things. There's a lot of the bodybuilders I know, they own their own companies, supplement companies. I mean, they're global. Gaspari, Librata, Kevin Levrone. These guys have their own supplement companies. Jay Cutler. I mean, Ronnie Coleman's one of the most successful bodybuilders on the planet. Hadi Choopan is an icon. That doesn't happen wishing that you can get through this workout. It doesn't happen showing up at the gym and following your buddies through a workout. Somebody's got to be the general. And when the coach is not there and you're just left to your own devices, you got to know when to flip that switch, because you got to get from the kitchen to the car to the gym, through the parking lot, through the dressing room, on the gym floor, and the entire way you're fighting all of these things coming at you. Hey, Mr. Ray, how you doing? Welcome back to the gym. Hey, I saw you in a magazine the other day. You got a second? Can you sign this? I go through that. I'm walking by. It's two hot honeys. Here's a Brazilian chick over there and a blonde over here. Holy crap, she's wearing her spandex. I got this guy over here saying, hey, man, can you help? Give me a spot. You know, hey, you think you can beat Dorian Yates? All of that stuff is just, and I'm still focused on the fact that I got to get through this leg workout, right? I got to get in, and I got this beast waiting for me to do legs. But I have all of these other people that don't realize the journey that I'm on, just being normal people, considerate people, recognizing me coming to do my job. It's my job. This is not something that I'm coming to hang out and have fun. I'm coming to work every time I come to that gym. But I got to navigate all of that stuff. This is before iPhones, before you had the headphones. You know, this is before people were cool and you could wear your glasses in the gym and nobody would bother you. You'd be an egomaniac if you wore your glasses back in the 90s. So it takes a very focused individual to be able to flip the switch, still be humble, still be approachable, still be able to manage these relationships in a professional way where you're not just telling everybody to F off and then put on your game face and do what you got to do. Not everybody can do that. That's why when you get to the Olympia, you are looking at the elite of the elite. Some are better than others, but it's a very select few that get there. And you got to respect every one of those guys, because you don't get there by luck.
All right, guys, quick break. If you're serious about building real muscle and getting your training dialed in, this is for you. Shawn Ray, one of the most respected legends in bodybuilding, has put together a complete program called Built with Pros. It's packed with everything you need to train like a champion: goal setting, nutrition, mindset, muscle programming, recovery, breaking through plateaus. No fluff, just the real stuff that actually works. And here's the crazy part. It's a one-time payment of just $49.95. That's what most people drop on a tub of pre-workout that fades in a few hours. It'll level up your training for life. And because you're part of the Muscle Talks crew, you get 20% off with code MTP20 at checkout. Go to builtwithpros.com, use code MTP20 at checkout, and start training smarter with Shawn Ray and Built with Pros. If this hasn't made people feel like they should be typing right now, builtwithpros.com to find out more, I'd be shocked. So yes, guys, jump on, have a look. This is what it's all about. But like I said, it's about being not just the contender, to be ready for the opportunity, to be the competitor, but then how do you stay in the game? And it's not giving up your spot. Yeah. So I think with Built with Pros and what we've said so far and what we're going to continue saying, jump on, guys, builtwithpros.com. Mastering full range of motion and form. You stretch, and squeeze. Always full range of motion. Why is it so critical for muscle development? How can poor form or partial reps sabotage someone's long-term growth?
Yeah, very easy. Listen, if you're flexible and you're stretchable, then you have the ability to develop the muscle to its maximum. You know, you see some muscle-bound people have big arms, but big biceps, but their triceps not fully developed. You see guys with really nice sweeping quadriceps, but they have very little hamstring in the back. There's very little flexibility about them. And there's bodybuilders like that. They just, the stretching is for sissies. Full range, you know, I can't lift as much weight if I bring it all the way down. So I do partials. Yeah, but you know what? The bodybuilders I came up with were very complete bodybuilders. And monkey see, monkey do. Very few guys were out there just barely moving weight around. The reason the 90s was so deep in talent, because we were all doing the same thing. We were copying each other. You know, we were training with each other. And there were fewer Olympians back then. We were all in a closer proximity. I could see the guys I was competing against, Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier. They were in the gym when I pulled up, and it's very easy to become a copycat because you see what they're doing and you want to try to see if it works for you. But very few guys will want to copy the guy that had bad form, the guy that was doing partial reps. And then, you're just an accident waiting to happen when you're not allowing the muscle to move you through the full range of motion. And for me, always ever present was the idea that an injury could stop me from the passion, from the career, from the hunger and the mission. And so when that's in your head, you realize, you know what? I can't do a half squat. I got to go all the way down. And it's a lot harder to go all the way down and come all the way back up. So if you're training with me, you're going to do what I'm doing because that's part of the gig. You can't come in here and half-ass train with me and I'm going to be working harder than you. If I'm doing full reps, you're doing full reps. And with my track record, the full reps were paying off. It was a safe bet. So why change it? If full reps are working for me, they damn sure could work for you. It has nothing to do with genetics at that point. This is technique. So I kind of felt like partial reps were cheating. I kind of felt like if you weren't doing it to its maximum degree of function, then you're holding back your effort. So to me, it was be cheating. So I didn't allow that to happen. I wasn't able to do that when I was coming up with my older bodybuilding friends. So sometimes your introduction to something is how you learn. I didn't get introduced with bad form and sloppy technique and the idea that I could cheat my way through. I had to do the work.
Would you class that similar to our current state of language called ego lifting as well? Is that what you say?
There's a lot of ego lifting again because we're artists, like in the music industry, right? You have to find your voice, you have to find your talent, whether it's the drums, guitar, or piano, and then you got to tune that instrument, and then that instrument has got to become an extension of you, right? Like we know Stevie Wonder couldn't see, but he knew the keyboard. He knew where every sound on that keyboard was, black or white. Forwards and backwards, he could hear music and repeat it. That comes from repetition. In bodybuilding, this entire thing is about sets and reps every day. Every day. You can take your days off, you can have your sick days, but this is all about repetition. So how you do it, the bad habits you learn in the beginning are those are going to bite you in the butt in the end.
I do.
So I would maximize my focus on trying to do it right the first time and then build on that.
Yeah, discipline is always easier at the start, harder when you've got poor form, poor discipline to try to create that discipline. It doesn't seem fair, but that's the way it goes. Tools of the trade, drop sets, supersets, volume circuits. You use drop sets, supersets, and volume training. Which of those do you recommend for someone feeling stagnant or bored? How do high rep volume training with John Brown shape your mindset around intensity? How did?
All of that. All of that. Listen, you got to take all of that. It's a lot. This is not something you just do this month. You got to run back around when you come into September. It's going to hit you in the face in January. It's going to smack you in the face when it comes down to getting ready for your competition. You go, oh, I got 14 weeks. 14 weeks in the grand scheme of things is not very long. As a matter of fact, I think it's less than a summer. So it comes and goes very quickly. You have to be willing to adapt and change and implement. And by that, I mean, there's going to be training partners that are going to train a certain way. And you got to be able to adjust. I'm not afraid to train someone else's routine. It doesn't have to be my way every single time. But I'm not going to waste my time doing 4 or 5 6 reps and waiting 3 to 5 minutes in between while we watch the sun come up and go down. I like perpetual motion. Because with the perpetual motion, again, it doesn't allow your focus to come off the muscle, doesn't allow your mind to wander in terms of the mission, and it doesn't allow anyone to come over and talk to you. If I'm sitting idle on a bench, looking around in between sets, waiting for my body to recover, someone's going to come over and talk to me. I'm going to get distracted. My mind's not going to be on my squats coming up in the next set. So by moving faster in the gym for me, allowed me to keep that blood going, allowed me to keep that cardio going. So it didn't allow me to get really fat in the off season because I'm constantly moving. I'm perpetually in action. And isn't that how it is for a fighter? Fighter gets in the ring. You got a 3 minute round. You got 1 minute to recover, and you're back in that ring, and you got 12 rounds. It's very similar, my style, very similar, which I think constituted the outcome, which was being in condition when I stepped on the stage. So if I had to give something credit for being in shape all the time, it's my style of training. It didn't change. I didn't waver. Sometimes I slowed down in the off season, but it wasn't enough for you to go run and grab a drink at the drinking fountain. You better have your water bottle with you. So you decide to walk away and go take a piss or get some water. I'm going to squeeze in an extra set while you're doing it. I'm
Stay,
at the gym to train. Yeah.
stay busy. No one will disturb you.
Yeah.
The mind, the mind muscle connection. You draw a line between lifting weights and bodybuilding. How do you train the mind into the muscle connection? Why are some why are some ways what are some ways, sorry, what are some ways
Yeah.
listeners can start to develop that internal awareness during their sets?
Well, it's easy. I mean, like in boxing, you're getting hit in the face. And after a while, your face goes numb and then you don't feel the hits anymore.
That's right.
In bodybuilding, when you're doing these sets and reps, you're feeling every one, especially if you have a training partner like me who's counting these repetitions. I'm watching you. I'm correcting your form. I'm making sure you're doing full reps. I'm making sure that you're squeezing at the top, stretch and squeeze. I'm watching you the same way I was introduced so that you're not going to cheat me. Because if you cheat me, then I'm going to cheat myself. So I want you to feel what I'm feeling. So we push back against each other. You are my sparring partner. I'm there to make you better. That's why I'm in your ass. That's why I'm counting your reps out loud. So you don't have to. And when you have somebody like that, you have that kind of a mindset that, look, we're getting ready for the Olympia. This is the real thing. This is not dress rehearsal. That is something that you have to psychologically get ready for before you leave the house. So by the time you get to the gym, it's like a fire truck that shows up to put the fire out. These guys aren't trying to get ready. They're already ready when they leave the fire station. They just got to jump off the truck and put the fire out. In the gym, you expect me to be there to catch you when you're about to come all the way down to the bottom with the weight and you can't come back up. I'm going to spot you. That's what a spotter does. You don't want your spotter standing around counting your reps, looking at the girl walking across 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he turns around to catch you and you're already on the ground. You want your spotter right here in tune with what you're doing. I'm your training partner. I'm in tune with what you're doing. We have to take this serious. And that was kind of how it always was for me, coming up. And sometimes I say, today I'm training with a guy, he's the rabbit and he's the lion. We have these guys that train slow, guys that we know are going to quit, guys we know that are going to get out fast. And some guys can't keep up and they're going to quit. I know they're going to quit before the workout's over. That's okay. In track and field, they have the rabbit. They go out to run the mile. They got that one fast person that runs 2 laps and he falls off. He was never there to win the race. He was there to set the pace. So I got some guys I know that can set the pace. They're not going to out-train me. They're not going to survive this workout. So I would find these guys that came in to get me going. As they quit, my mind is getting stronger. My ego is getting bigger. My focus is getting more hungry because they're laying on the ground and I'm still over here training. And I got one more guy I got to knock out over here. So let me take him on. You have to have this mentality that you're the Olympian. I'm the Olympian. I'm the one getting ready for the Olympics. These guys can't train with me. They're not going where I'm going. They're trying to get there. I got to be the guy that stays in front. I'm not only the rabbit, but I'm also the lion. I got to eat. So I got to eat these guys up. I want them to get out there in front of me, set the pace, and then I'm going to burn them up in the end. And that's a victory for me in the gym. And I try to have those in different gyms so that when I went to different gyms, oh shit, here he comes. And I like that. I like that because they knew I was looking for a fight. They knew I was looking for a challenge. I didn't always win. My ego didn't get the best of me, but it was one of those things where I'm going into this gym, I'm going into that gym. I kind of know the crowd, I know the audience, and my exercise, my workouts became an event. And you'll notice that before some heavyweight championship fights back in the day, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, they would open their practice to the fans, and the fans could watch the champ. The fans could watch the champ practice, Sugar Ray Leonard. And when you watch them practice, these guys were putting on a show. they were practicing harder because they had fans watching. They weren't in there showboating. They were doing the work, every one of them dripping in sweat. Sometimes you train better when you know people are watching. Sometimes you train better when you're at a different arena. So I was mobile. I would go to different gyms, which would be my arena. I would go to different gyms looking for a sparring partner. And that was kind of how I found my own excitement and entertainment because I was training with strangers. I was working out with guys I didn't know. I was working out with fans. Guys said, "Hey, you doing arms today? Can I do arms with you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, come on in." I was like, "Let's go." I welcome it. So sometimes those challenges are good, and it actually makes the journey that much more enjoyable. But it also helps you keep focused because you want to be the champ of every sparring match that you have.
Oh, I love that. Personalized plans versus, I guess, cookie cutter routines. You stress that everyone's program should match their goals: fat loss, growth, strength. Why is personalizing or personalization such a game changer? What's your advice for someone walking into a gym with no clear goal in mind?
Well, yeah, the thing, look, I never walked in the gym and said, "Hey, I want to be Lee Haney. I want to be Bob Paris." I didn't say I want to be my idols. I respected what they look like, but I couldn't just do what they were doing, right? Like the workouts, the weights, the equipment is available for everyone. The tools are available for everyone, right? Like if you're watching the Indy 500, you got 20 cars on the race. You only one car is going to win that damn thing. At the start, they all look the same. They're just different colors. One says Michelin, the other one says Chevy, another one says Ford, and they all look the same. And the starting line is exactly the same. But by the time you get done doing all of those laps, the fatigue and the stamina and the pit crew and the tires, the timing, the cream is going to start rising to the top. There's only going to be one finalist, one champion. And in bodybuilding, when you go into the gym, you don't necessarily see those pace cars. They're out there. That pace car is Kevin Levrone in Maryland. That pace car is Dorian Yates over there in England. That pace car is Ronnie Coleman out there in Texas. Those are all my other pace cars that I got to try to pass in order to get to that finish line. And you don't see them. It's an invisible enemy that I'm trained to try to beat by just focusing on me. Because if I'm focused on what they're doing and how they do it, I'm going to lose sight of what I'm actually trying to do. So I had to be pleased with what I'm looking at in the mirror, with what I'm seeing, with what the scale says, with my manipulation of calories and carbohydrates and my cardiovascular, how I'm trying to put some inches on my shoulders, on my arms, on my back, on my calves, my detail. I'm the artist. I'm painting this picture. So none of those guys are touching me. But I have to recognize that they're on the same racetrack, and they're going to pass me, or I'm going to pass them based on my sweat equity, based on whether or not I'm staying in my lane. So this invisible enemy that I'm going to be racing against on this racetrack eventually is going to show up at the starting line come to Mr. Olympia. And as soon as that first call out comes, we're going to know who's going to have the distinct pole advantage throughout the show. So every bodybuilder's goal is to be in that first call out. And let me tell you something. All those years I was in that Olympia, I didn't always get the first call out. But when that first call out was there, it validates everything. Forget about the finish. The recognition, just standing there, and then calling you out in that first call out. I mean, I don't really have anything to compare that experience with because it's what every bodybuilder dreams of. And when it actually happens, the rest of it's just kind of a dream. It's kind of a blur. I mean, the finish to it all is obviously winning the Mr. Olympia, which there's a lot more dreams out there that were crushed because they didn't win it. But you know what? I was in the race. I was a pole sitter. I put myself in a position to be a champion. And the only reason that happened is because I focused on my sets, my reps, my calories. I wasn't trying to copy what they were doing. I was aware, but I had to trial and error. I had to do what I felt was working for me. And that's what separates the men from the boys. You can't just do what I do and you're going to think you're going to look the way that I look. You have to own what you're trying to do, like the guy on the piano, like the guy playing the flute, like the guy on the guitar. We know a lot of really good guitarists out there, but there's only one Eddie Van Halen, right? So we know the best of the best when it comes down to certain things, but the people out there trying to compete with them is what makes them that much better. And so I firmly believe that by me competing, it made Lee Haney better. It made Dorian Yates better. It made Ronnie Coleman better. They were my nemesis, but they were making me better at the same time.
Yeah.
And I never worked out with any of those guys. I didn't train with Ronnie. I didn't train with Lee. Didn't train with Dorian. So what I was doing as an artist was working for Shawn Ray. You have to find your lane. It's all through trial and error. And it's not something that I could just write down and tell you to do it. But I think if you get your mindset right and recognize that being an artist is an individual thing, it's not a team sport. There's only one Stevie Wonder. There's people that sound like them, but there's only one Stevie Wonder. There's only one Shawn Ray. So for whatever that's worth, by the time my career was over, it put me in a position that I could look back and say, I did what I set out to do. I became one of the world's best, and I did it against the world's best.
You did, most definitely. Balance, variety, and staying engaged. You talk about changing gyms, workout clothes, even who you train with. Why is it? Why is that? Why is that level of variety important to staying motivated? How do
Yeah.
balance, novelty protect people from mental burnout?
Well, let's be honest, it's common sense. And in bodybuilding, a lot of people don't have a lot of common sense. But let's just say your favorite dessert is carrot cake. I like carrot cake. Maybe it's cheesecake. I like cheesecake too. Maybe it's ice cream. Let's just say it's one of those three.
Yeah.
You know you can go get it every single day if you want. It's there.
Yeah.
Why don't you? Why don't you? I mean, it's there every day. It's my carrot cake is my absolute favorite. I love carrot cake. I love ice cream and I love cheesecake. I don't eat that in succession. I don't eat carrot cake on Monday, cheesecake on Tuesday, ice cream on Wednesday. I don't. Why? We're not wired that way. I can't eat steak every day, although that's one of my favorite foods. You know, I love a good steak, variety of steak. There's all kind of different steakhouses. I love that. I can't eat that every damn day. Pizza. I love pizza. I can't eat pizza every single day. How does that relate to bodybuilding? There's a few things that you have to do every single day, no matter what. One of them is eating, right? You have to eat. Not once, not twice, not three, sometimes 6 times a day you have to eat. The other component is you have to train. You got to train every damn day. You don't have a choice. You're not going to be a bodybuilder if you're not training, right? So if I'm going to make progress, I've literally got to train every day. I trained 6 days a week when I started. As you grow, you can see when and where you can take the time off. 3 on, 2 off, 2 on. You can play with that stuff. But no matter what, you can't get around and fake training. You have to train. At some point, you've got to train, or you're just not going to be a bodybuilder. So I say that to say this. That's every day. There's nothing fun about eating food every single day, but we do it subconsciously. We do it because we know we have to. That's our body function. But we don't. Our mind tells us to be very selective. The first thing I'd love to do is wake up and get some carrot cake. But my mind tells me that's not what's going to fuel my body. I need protein. I need fresh I need fresh fruits. I need eggs. I need something light. I need oatmeal so it can fuel my body. When I get done training and I'm exhausted, I'm thirsty. I need water. My body tells me, go get water, not beer, not wine, not Coca-Cola. It's telling me I need water. Nobody's telling me this. My body's telling me this. All right. So now I hydrate myself, and then I realize I got to feed my muscles. Okay, what am I going to feed my muscles? Potato chips? Carrot cake? Ice cream? No. It tells me I need protein, I need carbohydrates. I got to make the smart choices. Eventually, just subliminally, it happens. So I say that to say this. Every day, I've got to train. It's not always going to be fun. It's going to be very boring because I'm doing it every single day. So the only way to keep it interesting is I got to be mobile. I got to go to different gyms. Why? They have the same tools as I have in my gym. Dumbbells, barbells, benches, machines. A gym is a gym, right? Food is food. The food I have in my kitchen is the same food they have at down at the restaurant. The difference becomes in terms of food is preparation. The difference becomes in terms of gyms, um, what I'm training, who I'm training with. So that's where I make it interesting, the same way I make my eating interesting. I'm not going to eat the same thing over and over and over, the same way every day, because eventually I won't want to do that. So I change up the order of the food, I change up the types of food, I change up where I train at because I need the visual stimulation. I need to see the different pictures on the wall. I need to see the different faces that I don't know, the unfamiliar squat rack that I've never squatted in, the unfamiliar leg curl that I've never used, the unfamiliar training partner that doesn't even know I'm going to ask him to train back with me because it looks like he's warming up to train back. I'm going to ask if I can work in. So those unknowns make my workouts more interesting. It keeps me wanting to come back. I don't get bored. I don't get stale. My food doesn't get boring and stale because I change up the order. I change up where I eat. I change up how much I'm eating. So variety in this industry, if you're going to have longevity, you better be flexible. You better be willing to change up and not be a creature of habit, or you're not going to really enjoy the journey. I look back with a lot of fondness, and I met a lot of different people. I trained in some of the best gyms, some of the best equipment, some of the crappy little shithole gyms. All of that stuff stands out to me as part of what bodybuilding represents because I train in really big monster, mega multi-million dollar gyms and little hole in the wall mom and pop places, and the people in them are vastly different. And the memories I was able to gain through having the willingness to get outside of my comfort zone and go to those places, you can't replace those memories. So you can stay in one place and train the same way, same day, same whatever. I don't know that you're going to enjoy the journey. I don't think you're going to enjoy the progress, and I don't think that you're going to have the longevity. So you have to mix it up.
Definitely. All right. Final words. Progress is earned, not given. You say it's a marathon, not a sprint. For someone getting discouraged, what's your best advice for staying hungry and making long-term progress?
Well, I mean, discouragement comes in a lot of different forms, right? I mean, I was discouraged from being a bodybuilder because I was small. I was short. They were big and they were mid. I was discouraged from becoming a football player because I was short. I wasn't fast enough. But when I look back, it's funny. I got all the accolades that a football player wanted in high school: MVP, rushing records, recognition. I look back at my bodybuilding. I got the Hall of Fame. I got the Lifetime Achievement Award from Ben Weider. I made a life and a living off of my body and my bodybuilding. I met some friends all across the world, not just down the street that I grew up with. I've been to places I can't even pronounce. I've eaten food and that I never even knew existed. And these are all things that bodybuilding gave me. So when you get discouraged, what does it mean exactly? You're not having success today. There's tomorrow. There's next week. There's next month. Sometimes it comes on the long run. Some will get there sooner and faster. Some will get there and burn out. Some people never even have a chance to get out of the starting gate. You're going to have your days. I do. We all do. How you deal with them, how you reset, and then how you remind yourself who and what you are and what you're trying to do. That's what's going to separate you from being who you want to be. Because listen, if I pick up a basketball, I'm doing exactly what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were doing. That doesn't mean I'd be them. Because when you listen to them talk, dribbling that basketball was like taking in air, like breathing. And you got to have a certain dedication if you're going to get to their level. And I tell you what, if you're trying to get to my level, you better talk to some of the people that tried to hang with me. Look at what I gave up and sacrificed and committed to. This is not something that you just haphazardly fall into becoming a success. Discouragement comes in a lot of different ways. Like, again, I suffered more defeats as a professional than I did as an amateur. And so losing can be very discouraging. How you process losing could actually be energy to come back and do it again. And when you recognize the level of competition that you're up against, like this is a sport that you're born to fail in because there's just so many different factors of genetic freaks and advantages and circumstances and everything aligning just right, avoiding injury, coming down carb depleting, carbing up, pulling the sodium, drying out, getting the right color, picking the right music, getting that right lighting. There's so many things that have to happen, and they don't always happen. And over again, they don't happen. And more people are going to say no than say yes. But if you have the fortitude to be the artist that you want to be, these little things that discourage you on the stage don't necessarily follow you through life. I'm more successful off the stage because of what I learned in defeat on the stage. And those are lessons that you can only get through being a championship bodybuilder.
Well, thank you, Shawn, for this episode 5, the blueprint to build principles of muscle programming and smart growth. Episode 5, go to builtwithpros.com, have a listen, download, invest into yourself, and find out from not only what you've heard here, but also find out from what Shawn has put together for you. Shawn, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Cheers, brother.